Hello Mason, hello Theo. Today I thought I'd read the story of the little mole that knew it was none of his business by Werner Holsworth and Wolf Earlbrunch, possibly. The little mole who knew it was none of his business. Hey Mason, hey Theo, hello everybody. This is a bit of an odd book. I don't know if you remember this book. I think that's a poo on his head. Let's see what happens. The story of the little mole who knew it was none of his business. It's like a funny looking hat. The little mole poked his head out from underground to see whether the sun had already risen. Then it happened. It looked a little like a sausage, and the worst thing was it landed right on his head. He's a mole and he lives underground. How mean! Cried the little mole. Who has done this? On my head. But he was short-sighted and he couldn't see anything around, because moles can't see very well because they dig under the ground all the time, so their eyes don't work. How mean! Who's done this on my head? Did you do this on my head? He asked the dove, who was flying past. Me? No, how could I? I do it like this, she answered, and splish splash, a moist little white blob landed on the ground right beside the mole landed right on the ground next to the little mole. His right leg was splashed with a little bit of white. I do it like this. Ooh. Yes, we see bird poo on the car, don't we? Did you do this on my head? He said to the horse who was grazing. Me? No. How could I? Nay. I do it like this. And flump plump, 5 big fat horsey apples plopped down within a hair's breadth of the mole. He was very impressed. Plump, 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 plump. Wow. Lucky it wasn't a horse poo. Did you do this on my head? He said to the hare. I think he surprised her. She dropped her carrot. Me? No, how could I? I do it like this, answered the hare, and rat-tat-tat. 15 little round beans shot past the mole's ears. He saved himself with a daring leap. Rat-a-tat-tat. They're little poos. I see them outside sometimes. Did you do this on my head? He asked the goat, who had been dreaming a little. Me? No, how could I? I do it like this, she replied, and plippity-plop, a pile of toffee-coloured little balls tumbled onto the grass. The little mole found it almost appealing. This is a bit of an odd book. Did you do this on my head? He asked the cow, who was chewing the cud. Me? No, how could I? I do it like this. And kaplosh, a big brown greenish pancake flopped onto the grass just next to the mole. He was very relieved it hadn't been the cow who had done something on his head. That looks wet and sloppy, doesn't it? Ooh. He would have been wearing it on his head and his shoulders and his tummy and his bottom. Did you do this on my head? He asked the pig. Me? No, how could I? I do it like this, replied the pig, and splot splat, a little soft brown pile fell on the grass. The mole held his nose. P.U. Pigs' poos are very stinky. Ew, did you see the little bit of stinky smell coming off there? Did you do this on my head? He was going to ask again, but as he came closer, he could see only two big black fat flies, and they were eating. At last, someone who will be able to help me, thought the mole. Who did this on my head? He asked. Flies eat poo, don't they? And then they land on your food. Ugh. Shoo fly. Keep still, the flies buzzed. And there was a short pause. And then it's clear to us that it was a dog. Finally, the little mole knew who had done the business on his head. Ooh. Basil, the butcher's dog. Quick as a flash, he climbed on top of Basil's kennel, and pling! A tiny black sausage landed on the top of the dog's head. Satisfied at last, the little mole disappeared happily into his hole underground. Well, that's a weird story. We're a little bit weird. Suits us just fine. Well, good night. I love you boys. Miss you heaps. Wish you were here. Got your picture here, Mason? Sorry we didn't make one, Theo. You did squish all that glue in your hand. Have it on my wall. Anyway, sleep well. Good night.